I'm Rob Lucurious, senior editor at Gold Derby, here with the one and only Emmy-nominated actor Mckenna Grace. McKenna, I was saying to you offline that a role like this in A Friend of the Family just looks so emotionally exhausting. Jan Broberg, who you play, does a lot of crying. A lot of time has passed since you filmed that, but when you think back, was that really as challenging as it seemed? Because yeah, it looked very emotional.
A lot of hard work went into this project. I'm really, really proud of this project, but it's funny because being on this set, I learned so much about myself and about acting because I had to do a lot of things and push myself to places that I hadn't gone before. So I really learned a lot. And looking back now, I've done a project since then, and I'm like, I could have done so much better now that now I don't know, like I did that project and I feel like I learned so much. I'm like, oh, I could have done so much better. But um it was really emotionally and sometimes physically exhausting, but I am just so proud to have gotten to tell Jan's story and gotten to play her and portray her story.
Yeah, I'm sure, absolutely. And someone of your age is still so young, and yet you've been working for such a long time. I would call you almost like an old veteran at this rate. Um, but still, you must, do you have to rely on your support network, your parents, your family, your friends to to get you through a shoot where you're playing somebody who was so mistreated and sexually abused? That must have been quite challenging, even just personally.
I mean, yeah, I think that playing heavy roles always comes with some heaviness and some weight, but I mean, truly at the end of the day, I was telling a story about resilience and about strength and about Jan coming back together with her family and getting to tell her story. And I think that one of the things that our show did that I really like is that at the very beginning, at before the first episode starts, you have Jan explaining, the real life Jan sitting there and explaining, this may be hard to believe, but it's my story and this is what happened to me and I'm still here. And so it gives you some hope and you get to see that she made it out on the other side. And she's so strong. And I'm so happy to have her in my life. But yeah, I do definitely. Luckily, I have parents who really support me in what I do and are always like, if you don't want to be doing this, then we can always like not have you be an actress, or if you want to do something else. I'm like, no way, because truly this is what I love more than anything else. So
Yeah.
I guess that gets me through it, is just knowing that like this is what I love doing.
That's right. And it's your job, and it's good that you can separate the two. But Nick Antosca, the creator of the series, I told him that this was genius having Jan herself introduce this series, because it made me feel kind of like safe that we were able to delve into this very uncomfortable backstory, or her life story, because without that I would have felt it was being exploitative. So on that note, I wonder how you felt about having her so available to you as a resource on set during production. I know Jake Lacey felt really, really positive about that. What about you?
No, me too. That was the biggest thing for me going into this role. Was one of the first things that I asked Nick on Zoom whenever I first read the first four scripts. No, I read the whole series, I think. I stayed up all night reading the whole series. I was like, there's no way. But I got on Zoom with them and I was like, is Jan actually a part of this? Because that's I don't I don't feel good or comfortable about telling this story or playing her if she isn't on board with it. And luckily she was so on board. And from the get-go, from the first time that I talked to her, we were on FaceTime for like 2 hours and both of us cried. And she was constantly so available to me. And I think that one of the scariest things about taking this role was that not only am I playing Jan, a real life person who's a big part of this production, and telling her family's story, and it's a story that's really dark and has a lot of heavy subject material, but I'm also coming in halfway through the shoot because I'm Jan in her older years. So I'm also coming in after they've already gotten to know each other and everybody's been shooting for 2 months and developed like bonds or whatever. And so I was terrified. So I really tried to learn as much as I could about the story. And I dove so deep into Jan's backstory. I read her book that she wrote with her mother, and she sent me a transcript for a newer one that's been released since then. And I had like court documents and her old diary and all of the letters between her and B. And I would stay up, even though I had like a 6 a.m. call time, I'd be up till like 4 reading all of this stuff, like in my hotel room, up in like the dark of my room. But it really meant the world having Jan being so open and honest with me constantly. It felt safer. I felt like, hopefully I can really do Jan right and I can ask her questions if I need to.
Wow. As you know, that doesn't come around very often on a project. What a gift to be able to do that. And then it reminds me, as you mentioned, you took over the role from Hendrik Yancey, who plays the younger Jan. She's wonderful as well in that role, in this role. You both, I think you're both together collaboratively, not that you worked together necessarily, or because you're in different timelines, but I just feel like, is there any scope at all for you to even meet with Hendrix, or did you keep it separate? How does that work? Because you play Jan so consistently throughout the series, it felt like you were so aligned with the way that was going to work. So talk me through that.
Well, pretty much. There was her and I were actually staying at the same hotel.
All
Me
right.
and all of the girls who were the sisters and the
Yeah.
youngers, and all of us were in the same hotel. So, we'd all go out for lunch and whatnot. And there was about a 2 week overlap of Hendrix and I being there. And then for some of the flashbacks in the later episodes, she came back further down the line and we hung out again. But for me, as a child actor who has played a lot of younger versions of people, that was so exciting for me to have like a younger version of myself. That was mind blowing. So I was so stoked. I think, oh my gosh, my mom and I were talking to her mom earlier today, like on the phone. But like it was so cool to get to know her and to be able to work with her kind of, there was about a 2 week overlap, like I said, and I just tried to spend a lot of time with her because I wasn't able to watch her performance as Jan until a little bit later, until they had like clips. So I tried to spend a lot of time with her and pick up on like the little things that she does. And it was complicated because not only was I playing her version of Jan, but then I'm also trying to play Jan and then also bring in myself to the role. So I was playing like 3 different people at once, and it was hilarious and really exciting to be able to explore.
Yeah, I just think that you're really exercising so many muscles as a performer, because you do have to bring your own voice, your own spirit to the role and make it your own. But of course, you have to be aware of what Hendrix was doing, and you've got the real Jan. That's a lot. And
Yeah.
you just hit the nail on the head, Mckenna, because for years now, we've always talked about with you, you've played the younger this, the younger that. And suddenly you are obviously coming of age as a performer where you are now old enough to play the characters in their adulthood. And you now get to do for younger actors what were so many wonderful performers were doing for you. I mean, how does that mean? What does that mean for you? Because now you're moving forward, you get to impart some of the stuff that was given to you as a young performer.
It's really exciting to be it's such a weird industry to grow up in, and it is a weird thing to work as you grow up, but there's nothing I'd rather be doing. And it's really cool as I get older to continue to know more about this industry and what I do, and to explore the different realms within acting and directing and producing and writing, and then what goes on behind the scenes and the makeup and the hair, and to be able to really dive in depth to all of that. And it's just been cool to be able to have my passion for this grow and grow and grow. And there's truly nothing I would rather be doing. So it's really cool because I came out to LA to become an actress whenever I was so young, really having no idea what that meant or idea just how this was going to become my life, you know? So I've probably made so many mistakes. And then there's also been so much hard work, but also a lot of luck. So it's cool to be able to tell like Hendrix or other actors or actresses who are my age or younger to be able to like share just a little bit of the crumbs that I've managed to learn over the years, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so you're playing Jan opposite Jake Lacey, who's playing B, Berchtold. I think Jake is an extraordinary actor, and he was mesmerizing in this. The two of you together on the screen, I felt like it was just so compelling. I just love to know, what did you most value about working with him? He said to me that he just thought every moment working with you such a joy, given it was so difficult to, to do the material. Yeah, how did you feel about working with Jake?
That guy. No, I
Ugh,
genuinely, I think that he was so magnificent in this series and captivating and uh, captivating to watch, like not just on screen, but whenever he was performing, because there's so many alternative takes and completely different directions that the scenes went in that weren't used in the series. So it's just interesting to remember and to think back like, whoa, that was a crazy scene or that was crazy to shoot. And just thinking about his performances, it truly, this show has been one of the like craziest and most interesting experiences because within acting, I learned so much. So it's one of my favorite things to talk about, especially Jake and I's scenes and the relationship that we were portraying, because it's it's interesting to have to portray a relationship like that, having the scope and knowing what you know about the story and what's truly happening, because as Jan you have to throw all of that out the window because she truly believed him. This was a man who completely made her feel safe, and this is like a second father to her, a best friend, that it turns and then it gets strange, but I'm protecting my family, but I love him. Does that mean I love him as a husband, or do I just love him as a family member, but he loves me like a wife? And it just gets so complicated as the years go on. And whenever I got thrown into the mix as older Jan, there had already been the complete brainwashing. So I'm already completely in his grasp. So for me, it was really an exercise in acting because in my mind, I couldn't come on to set having my lines in a set way in my head, how I wanted the scene to go, or how I wanted to say them, or how I wanted to react or respond, because it truly solely depended on what Jake did. So if Jake was giving me this, or if he changed the inflection or the emotion one bit, then I have to hang on his every word, because that's what Jan had going through her life. It's just hanging on his word. Did he mention the aliens? Oh, he sounds a little angry. Did I do something wrong? You know?
yeah.
So it was so complicated, and he's such an incredible actor. So it was a crazy experience. And I'm such a fan of his. I'm such a fan of his,
I am
but
too, to be honest.
it was
So
complicated.
I just thinking about particular scenes, there's so many, but I love the second last episode where, the car accident, and
Mhm.
Jan's saying to B that she's going to be in a play, and he switches on a dime, and obviously the car accident means that she's broken on the outside, but it gave me some insight that she's so broken on the inside as well. And I am curious, I'm not an actor, I have no idea, but how do you switch on and switch off that very overt emotion, particularly when you have to cry a lot? Or do you need to stay in the moment when you're shooting scenes like that just to help you be more authentic?
I mean, it really truly depends. And it really depends on, is that what we're shooting all day long? Is that what we're doing? Is this a moment? But I like to, if I know that I have a really strong emotional scene, or I have to convey a lot of emotions, or if that's the first scene up, I like to come on to set and I just listen to a lot of music. I don't stay in that because I don't want to just be like walking around set crying or something, but I listen to a lot of music because I find that it's something that can really pull me in but also like push me out of an emotion. So I just come on to set, I listen to a lot of music, and I like to know if we're like 5 minutes out, and then hone in on whatever emotion I'm supposed to be feeling.
Wow. I've heard other actors tell me about the music. Music is so transportive in many ways.
Yeah.
Are you one of the actors who don't like to tell people what you're listening to, or are you free to say this is what I generally listen to if I need to be sad?
It really depends. I love talking about music. So
Yeah.
I'm so down. I have like a public Spotify place where I just post a bunch of playlists, and
Yes.
some of them I make playlists depending on characters. Like I'll make playlists for, I don't think I had one for Jan. I think that I would just listen to I just listen to my music that, made me feel something every once in a while, but I I listened to a lot of sad music while I was on that set. I listened to a lot of Phoebe Bridgers and I don't know, but
Nice. Yeah, it is. It totally works. I totally see why you're doing that. So look, we have chatted a few times already. The last time was about Bad Seed. The time before that was about Handmaids, for which you received an Emmy nomination. And I know it's not a it's a dumb question to say, oh, why are you attracted to roles like that? You're not attracted to them, but you're very smart in your choices. You are obviously still quite young, and you've got decades ahead of you in your career. You've made very smart choices. You are a serious actor. You're not just some frivolous actor who just does whatever comes your way. So what talk me through the process of with your I assume your parents of making those choices and picking roles that are very challenging, that are going to really put you on the edge. Yeah, talk me through those choices.
can I just say thank you? That really means a lot because like I don't know, I try so hard. That's really my dream, is to just be a serious actress and to do these projects that really mean something. So thank you. But I don't know, my parents and I have a lot of trust in each other. I always, before taking on a script or something, even if I'm completely in love with it, I always make sure that my mom or dad reads it, just because I'm like, I want a second opinion. I'm in love with this. And even if you're not in love with it, I'm still going to be in love with it. But I want to know what you think. I want to know your thoughts or something, because I want somebody to talk about it with. But whenever it comes to choosing roles, I mean, I'm just lucky to be getting the roles that I'm getting. I'm honored to have been able to portray the stories that I've had so far. But I don't know. I just really hope that I can continue to do this, but I really love to tell stories that feel important to me, that tell something for a reason, that aren't just something that I found very tasteful about our show is that there's a lot of shock value in our culture nowadays. So I really appreciated that there was no sexual assault on screen and that there was no real super nudity or whatnot. It really focused on the psychological effects of this manipulator. And of course, everything that happened still happened, but it didn't have to be seen. So I really like to tell stories that I find mean something to me. And I also really like to be challenged as an actress, because I don't know, how am I going to get better if I just continue to do things that I feel safe in? And even though I look back and I'm like, dang it, I could have done so much better. At least now I know that I can do better. And I've learned so much from that experience. And it's been really cool lately to see myself like evolve and grow and learn new things. And oh, now I can do this. I never knew that I could feel that emotion and portray that. It's been really cool as of lately. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just really truly happy with the projects I've been able to do lately, and I hope that I can continue down that path.
Let's hope so. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to speaking to you in 10 years' time when you're almost a completely different performer. We'll see what happens, McKenna. But in the meantime, congratulations on some beautiful work and a friend of the family. And thanks for your time today.
No, thank you so much. It's always cool talking with you. It's the coolest.